It's just so blatantly obvious at this point that everything that we are seeing, all of the right and the left hating on the Jews, the pro-Palestinian movement, it is all a front to keep people's eyes away from the real problem that we are dealing with, which is radical Islam. I mean, you've got Mamdani, you've got Dearborn, you've got Qatar funding en masse, and people are just not really focused on it. But when I say people, I was actually really, really happy to hear about this video that we're about to watch, because it seems like the women are waking up. It seems like more and more females, specifically Christian moms, are feeling like, wait a second, are we being duped? And whilst a lot of the men are out there competing and trying to see who's really trying to control them, and they're literally being manipulated by the media to think that it's the Jews instead of seeing the obvious plans by Qatar, by the Muslim Brotherhood to try and dominate them. They've written it out, they speak about it. More and more females are just starting to say, wait a second, maybe this Jew hatred's a little bit out of control. Maybe this pro-Palestinian loving thing, it's a little bit out of control. And specifically Christian women are feeling this, and conservative women, because liberal women, we know they're the worst. They don't think for themselves and they're just such extremists. But these women want to protect their families, and they want to focus in on the things that are actually important and really have strong, strong values. And they live and they fight for those values every single day. And they're understanding that the Jews are not a threat to that. Sorry, we're not a threat to it. But Islam is. And that's why I found this video so fascinating. Let's watch it. But first, I hate to do it, but please just hit the follow button. Thank you. Quickly, so that we're done, so that we can move forward. Let's go.
So I asked my audience before my dad's episode, what is your biggest national concern, political concern? By far. So I've got, 845,000 followers on Instagram, most of them Christian conservative women.
What would you think? What would you think the number one issue that you'd be worried about would be? Children, LGBTQ things, the takeover of these transgender visuals, the immigration, finances, funding, food. There's a million different issues that would be your big concern in America right now, right?
And so I got thousands of responses. What is your biggest national political concern? By far, and this actually surprised me, the number one answer was Islam. The growing dominance of Islam. The feeling that, these churches are being replaced by mosques. And, wow, these leaders of places like New York City and Dearborn and Minnesota are Muslim. This is starting to look like Europe. This is starting to look a lot like the UK.
The world is waking up. And obviously, the intelligent women are noticing it first. The world is waking up. Islam is the real problem. Palestine's just a front.
And of course, you listened to or watched my episode with Raymond Ibrahim, and we talked about what Islam actually is. What does it actually believe? What does the Quran actually say? Why are there some verses that seem peaceful and some verses that seem very violent? What does Islam as a religion actually teach, and why does it manifest itself the way that it does? And why do Muslims move to non-Sharia countries if they want Sharia enacted everywhere? We answered all of those questions. He answered all of those questions. And a lot of you are very concerned by that. And so I posted this on X that by far this was my biggest answer. And a lot of people, of course, agreed. And then I got this really strange reaction from some people on the right, or who say that they're on the right anyway, saying, this is not true. I don't believe you. This is a post that's getting paid for. This is a sudden shift. This is like a propaganda movement from like the pro-Israel crowd on the right, from dispensationalists, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you know what? Pray to the Lord to heal your brainworms. Are you kidding me? Like, we have been talking about the dangers of Islam at least since 9/11. Conservatives have been talking about the dangers of Islam for a very long time. Okay?
Correct. They have been talking about it because there is real danger. And believe it or not, there isn't real danger when it comes to the Jews trying to take over the world, because it's a myth. But this is the thing about this new movement on the right. They don't realize that in the same way that the left was programmed and manipulated into this crazy change your child into a transgender wannabe, the right extremists were also manipulated into thinking that everything is just Jewish control. And the same people doing that manipulation to both sides, Islam is manipulating both. The radical Islamists are trying to control both, and they realize the left was very strong, so they went after the left, and then they started to realize the right was getting strong, so they went after the right. But it's the same tactics, and those tactics work. And what they do as they break a society open from within, destroy what they know, confuse them with different issues, and then give them a cause that they think is more important. And meanwhile, whilst the people are so busy fighting for that cause and trying to not be controlled by the terrible powers that be, Islam creeps in. It's a playbook, guys.
This has been at the forefront of conversation, at least on and off, for years. This has nothing to do with Israel. I'm not a dispensationalist, by the way. So you can't get me on that. I don't have that kind of theology that you guys think that all evangelicals have about Israel. I don't have that theology, so you're just not going to get me there. It is concerning to me that there is a segment of the right that is soft on Islam. That you think that Islam and Christianity have things in common, that you think that there is some alliance happening between Christians and Muslims because we both don't agree with homosexuality. That is not happening. If you believe that, you are delusional. You are delusional. I'm not saying every one individual Muslim wants to kill all Christians. I'm not saying that. But Islam as a religion is responsible for most of the persecution against Christians. I mean, our brothers and sisters in Nigeria who are being slaughtered right now are being slaughtered by the Islamic regime there in Nigeria. And the government is doing nothing about it. This is happening throughout the world. So I'm very confused by this. Does it just come from this animosity that a lot of these people on the right now have toward Israel? Just understand that you are the ones who have shifted on that. It's not us who's shifted. Like, you don't have to pay for someone to have eyes. All you have to have is eyes and ears to see that Islam leads to domination, to conquest, to degradation, and to tyranny. Every single place that it goes, and to
Amen, woman. Amen. So much truth. I love this. Amen.
more glorification of violence, that it is anti-Christian and it hates Christianity.
Yeah.
And by the way, like, Muslims typically vote Democrat. They typically are on the progressive side, and a lot of people are confused by that. Why would they do that when they align with conservative values on so many things? Oh, did you not realize the alliance that is shaping up? You didn't realize that the one commonality between LGBTQ activists and Islam is a hatred of Christianity? That is the common thread that's going on there. Yeah, you're right. Most Muslims are not progressive. They certainly don't believe in homosexuality. They'll push that right off the roof. It's a hatred of Christianity. That is what is going on there. I am concerned with a lot of changes that I'm seeing on the right. The truth is that Charlie Kirk kept a lot of crazy at bay. And he expanded the parameters of what could be talked about a lot. And he expanded the parameters of debate. And he certainly was a big tent guy. But there were certain things that were just like off limits. And he was kind of a gatekeeper, honestly, of mainstream Christianity. And now we don't have that. And so now we're platforming the worst people in the world who are by no definition conservative. And I don't know. I don't know what the future of conservatism looks like. I don't know what the future of the right looks like. I don't know what the future of the Republican Party looks like. I just don't know. And it can make me really sad, honestly, and really anxious, because I think things were a lot more clear when, like, Charlie was at the helm. And now it's very confusing and troubling. Some of the biggest voices are not biblically sound, are not morally clear. They're moral relativists. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know where this leads us. But to go back to the beginning of this episode, the only thing that I focus on is doing what I was called to do and focusing on my audience and my calling and my platform, and just having to pray and trust God with the rest of it. And that's all any of us can do, is the next right thing in faith with excellence and for the glory of God.
Can you feel it? Can you feel that, like, the sadness that so many conservatives are feeling over what they're seeing? Because she's absolutely right. Islam does not like Christianity because it's a threat. The Christians are a massive, strong movement, and that's why they had to go in there and try and break it. They don't like Judaism because we are a theological threat to them. But Christianity they don't like because it is a physical threat to them. The Christians, America, Europe, are capable of really stopping radical Islam in a real way. And that's why they have to go in and create these mind viruses. And as she said, the conservative movement has been calling out Islam for a very, very long time. It's just recently that under this new act of focus on Israel, and therefore just stop focusing on Islam, that they've all fallen for it. And it's heartbreaking. And Charlie Kirk really did keep it at bay. And I think in many ways, whilst Israelis didn't understand that when we were all mourning him, that was the thing. That was the big thing of Charlie Kirk's death. The significance of it was us moving into a time of really no turning back from it. The time in which people were openly, happily, in the name of free speech, able to focus on the wrong things and on inciting so much hatred and not on focusing on the real threats. And it's honestly super heartbreaking. Thank you for your attention to this matter.